Yo, what the fuck is going down, everybody? It's your boy, Sauceman X, checking back at your niggas with another goddamn video today. But anyways, man, we're back with another political video, this goddamn bitch. And you already see this shit by the title, okay? You already see this shit by the title. We're back with another political video, this goddamn bitch. And this is actually technically the first video that I'm making, okay? First video that I made since I got the goddamn haircut about a few weeks ago. So this is how it looks now, okay? It's actually looking pretty good, you know what I'm saying? So a little bit of an update there. But we already know that we have a lot, well, not really a lot of shit to talk about in the video, but we have a legitimate amount of things that we need to talk about in this video. And there hasn't really been that much of anything really going on in politics within the past few weeks other than the impeachment hearing, which we already know that the impeachment hearings, as I keep on saying over and over again, the impeachment hearing is just becoming mundane and repetitive, and it's essentially just proving. And I already made a whole video disproving why the impeachment inquiry is full of shit, you know what I'm saying, and it's basically treason, criminal, you know what I'm saying. This isn't news, okay? This isn't news. We already knew they were corrupt from the start, and this impeachment hearing is basically proving why the Democrats are wasting time, okay, literally wasting time for not only the American people, but for their entire party, and they're delegitimizing their entire party by doing this bullshit. But we already know that other than that, there's really nothing going on other than the impeachment. What the fuck was it called? The impeachment report and the fucking Nancy Pelosi getting angry, you know what I'm saying, when she was asked questions by the media. I don't fucking know. I really don't give a shit. But we have a lot of shit. We have a lot of other shit to talk about in this video, and this was a video that I actually had planned, but apparently there was a particular event that happened today that basically establishes and proves my point even more with what I was actually going to make a video about, okay, which we already know that this video is obviously going to be about the hypocrisy in the media as it pertains to which kinds of individuals are terrorists, which people, you know what I'm saying, are threats to this fucking country, and basically proving why the media is continuing to be fake news and completely shunning certain things that doesn't fit their narrative because they know that it would prove Donald Trump's point, or people that they ideologically oppose basically prove their fucking point. But we already know that this video, as you see by the title, this video is going to be about Donald Trump wanting to label Mexican drug cartels as a terrorist organization, okay? This video was essentially going to be about that shit, okay? It was going to be about that shit. And then there was a fucking mass shooting, okay? There was literally a mass shooting that literally went down earlier today, I believe. It was, I believe it was in Pensacola, Florida, or some shit like that. Some fucking mass shooter got him, I don't know, I don't even know the details of everything, but apparently it was a mass shooting. People ended up losing their lives once again. And it turns out that contrary to what most quote-unquote mass shootings that the media likes to report on so much, you know what I'm saying, that's been happening, it was actually a Muslim person, okay? The person who actually did the mass shooting was an Islamic person, okay? It was a Muslim person, and of course that's obviously going to mean that the media is not going to report on it as much, because of course their whole narrative is that all Muslims are good people, Muslims aren't terrorists. There's no, all Muslims, there's no such thing as a Muslim being a terrorist in this goddamn country. It's not even possible. They can't come through the southern border. It is literally fucking ridiculous. So I'm going to expose some hypocrisy, and I'm going to get into that later in the video. But we already know that this video is about Donald Trump, okay, wanting to label Mexican drug cartels as terrorists, okay, literally as a terrorist organization, and how the mainstream media basically has complete control over what kinds of labels that they choose to use to label certain people, and it exposes a lot of their hypocrisy and their lies once again, which we already know that I believe that I was initially going to talk about this fucking thing that happened, I believe it was a month ago, you know what I'm saying, where another tragic event followed on by another tragic event earlier today. But there was a fucking tragic event, obviously it was in Mexico last month. Cartel member, okay, a drug cartel member, which we already know that there's thousands, okay, thousands of fucking drug cartels coming in through the country, sneaking drugs into this country, sex trafficking people, which is another thing, okay, they're literally sex trafficking people, but people still actually think that we should just completely have open borders and just let all these children get raped and let all these children get sex trafficked as if it's perfectly fine just because of a stupid moral argument about kids being in cages. Makes no sense. But cartels, we already know drug cartels basically all over the world. You can't really stop them. You know, apparently there was a member of the drug cartels who actually went in and killed 9 Americans. Okay, they killed 9 Americans. 9 people ended up dead. I believe the shooting was in Mexico. It was last month. And that's when Donald Trump basically said that he wanted to label the Mexican drug cartels as a terrorist organization. So the thing is that one thing, okay, one of the main things that I would like to get into is that nobody gives a fuck, okay, and that's the craziest thing. As I've been saying, the mainstream media, they can pick and choose what rhetoric bullshit that they want to spew to the American people. They get to choose, you know what I'm saying, what they get to selectively choose what they want other people to be outraged about. So one hypocrisy that I was going to address is that why is it, okay, why is it whenever there's a particular thing that happened, okay, this was technically a mass shooting, okay, this was technically a fucking mass shooting, because the definition of a mass shooting is when, you know what I'm saying, somebody has a firearm and injures more than one person. That's why if you look at the statistics, there's like 400 mass shootings or whatever, because every single mass shooting basically means that more than one person was injured. You know what I'm saying? Which doesn't mean there's 400, but the media doesn't like to report on most of it because it doesn't suit their narrative with gun control and semi-automatic weapons, which is their narrative right now. And it also doesn't fit because I would assume that most people who are actually victims of mass shootings are black on black violence. Okay, most of the instances of mass shootings are black on black violence. You know what I'm saying? And they obviously don't want to report that shit. And obviously, they're doing it again with the whole Mexican drug cartel thing where they just barely brushed up on it. No rhetoric, okay? No fucking narrative. Nobody gives a fuck. But at the end of the day, it's just as bad, okay? What literally happened in Mexico last month was just as bad as any other mass shooting. It was just as bad as the mass shooting that happened earlier today. Because at the end of the day, people died, Americans died, and usually when it comes to a mass shooting, the media likes to report, it's usually around the 10 to 20 people who died. And this was 9 people who literally fucking died. So it was just as bad. But the media, they simply just did not give a fuck. But the thing is that Donald Trump, okay, the thing is that Donald Trump wanted to label the Mexican drug cartels as a terrorist organization, okay? Now, the thing is that this is actually the part where I disagree, okay? This is actually the part where I disagree. I don't think that the Mexican drug cartels should be labeled as a terrorist organization because the definition of a terrorist organization is when you obviously have caused terror with political aims behind it. You know what I'm saying? Which really know fucking ISIS is obviously a terrorist organization because they have political aims against the United States. You have fucking, Al-Qaeda, whatever the fuck the damn, what was that shit called? Whatever the fucking terrorist group that was ran by Osama bin Laden or something like that. They're actual terrorist organizations. They're officially terrorist organizations because they are against the United States and want to cause violence, cause massive amounts of violence with political aims, okay, with the fucking intent to be political. You know what I'm saying? With their fucking attacks. So that's actually technically, and you can also say Antifa. Okay, Antifa, obviously in my opinion, Antifa should also be a terrorist organization because once again, they're literally causing violence against every single person they disagree with. Literally, there was a mass shooter in Dayton, Ohio, which the media did not report on as much, you know what I'm saying, who was literally an Antifa member. So they are literally a terrorist organization, but I don't think the cartels are, simply because they do not have political aims. They're literally all over the world. They're just trying to, you know what I'm saying, bring in drugs, and they're bringing in lots of crimes. You can say they're criminals. You can say, like, for example, MS-13, violent fucking animals, okay, literally violent fucking criminals. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that you should label them as a terrorist organization. But the hypocrisy, okay? The hypocrisy of that, everything that comes in, okay? Not only, as I said earlier, the mainstream media doesn't sensationalize things because, and here's the thing, okay? The reason why the mainstream media did not make a big deal about the fucking American, okay? The American people literally died at the hands of drug cartels. The only reason why they didn't make a big deal about it is because it would prove Trump's point. And I'm going to get into that later in the video in terms of the southern border, because what does the mainstream media do? Whenever there's a mass shooting, like, oh my god, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is what we need to do to fix it, even though it's complete bullshit most of the time. But if they did that with the Mexican drug cartel thing, they would prove Trump's point on how we need to continue to build a wall, now we need to continue to enforce border security. So now they're attacking Trump, okay, saying that, oh no, you can't call these people a terrorist organization, you can't call these people terrorists, which I don't think they should be called a terrorist organization, but the media is hypocritical. Okay, and it comes to the point where Donald Trump, when he wants to label Mexican drug cartels as a terrorist organization, it is just as accurate, okay? I mean, well, not just as, it is more accurate than the mainstream media and what they deem to be quote-unquote terrorism every single time that there's a particular mass shooting. And the funniest thing is, okay, literally the funniest thing is about this shit, my nigga, is that when you had certain, you know what I'm saying, when you have certain things going on, when you literally have certain things going on, like for example, back in August, okay, there was a mass shooting. Well, that guy was actually a fucking terrorist. But when you look at any of these other mass shootings, what does the media do? Okay, if it's a white man and he has a semi-automatic weapon, they immediately call them a terrorist. But they're not terrorists by definition because they don't have political aims. So why is it whenever somebody commits a mass shooting, you know what I'm saying? Someone commits a mass shooting, fits the fucking narrative, all of a sudden they're fucking terrorists, all of a sudden we need to do all this crazy radical shit. But the same exact thing happens with Mexican drug cartels, who essentially do the same thing. As I said earlier, it's just as bad as a mass shooting, okay, because the same amount of people died, or approximately the same amount of people died. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to say anything about this. It's like, oh, you can't call them terrorists, but you can perfectly call white people who simply just go to places and shoot people, most of which aren't for political aims. You immediately call them terrorists. So how are they terrorists? Okay, when they don't meet the definition, but Donald Trump wants to call an entire group of fucking people, the drug cartels, who literally come and cause massive amounts of violence, sex traffic children, okay, get children murdered, get children fucking raped, kill Americans on a probably on a daily fucking basis with all the fucking violence that they cause. They're not terrorists. But one white person going to one place and shooting people is all of a sudden a terrorist thing, and then you blame the entire white race for what one white person did. Like, it's literally fucking bullshit. So I don't understand how these people are terrorists, and I don't understand how, you know what I'm saying, Mexican drug cartels can't be labeled as a terrorist organization. Okay, they obviously, as I said, they specifically don't report on it as much because they don't want you to know that there's a problem at the southern border. They would rather have you think, okay, that white people are a huge problem in this country. Literally, just white people alone. Just being white is a huge problem in this country because of white supremacy, but they completely ignore actual problems along with the drug cartels, along with illegal immigration, okay, which I'm going to get into later in this fucking video and why we need to continue to enforce border security. But we already know that the other fucking thing that happened, which is obviously the fucking mass shooting, the guy was fucking Muslim, okay? And I'm not saying that to be racist or anything, but we already know what the narrative is going to be now that the mass shooting that literally happened, you know what I'm saying, earlier today, obviously a tragic event, people died in Florida. It really doesn't matter what color the skin of the person is, but we already know that the mainstream media, since the person's Muslim, they're going to switch the fucking narrative, okay? They're going to switch the fucking narrative. They're not going to call him a terrorist, okay? They call white people who do mass shooting terrorists, but they're not going to call an Islamic person doing the same exact thing terrorist because they don't want you to know that, you know what I'm saying, there's lots of fucking Muslims out there who are actually terrorists to the point where they're completely denying that fucking term towards anyone who commits any type of act of violence, even if it contradicts their own rules to what they consider terrorism to begin with. It's literally just fucking ridiculous. So that this fucking mass shooter, obviously, you know what I'm saying, a terrible event, but they're gonna brush it by. They're only gonna, you know what I'm saying, just put this whole narrative of gun control. They're not gonna make this a whole race issue. Okay, it's funny how people want to accuse Donald Trump of being racist because of the travel ban and shit like that. Like, oh, you're singling out Muslims, but you do the same exact thing for white people. Okay, and they're probably gonna undermine it, just like the fucking Mexican drug cartel thing. They're gonna undermine the legitimacy and the serious issue that it faces towards Americans, you know what I'm saying, and how tragic the event was. They're going to undermine it just because of the color of the person's skin and just because of the religion of the person that was, you know what I'm saying, that committed the shooting. Okay, it's literally just ridiculous, and it does not make any sense, and it just shows you that the media gets to pick and choose what they want people to be outraged about, which makes no fucking sense. But we already know that going on to the next point is that Donald Trump, okay, here's why, okay? Here's why Donald Trump, when he basically wants to label the Mexican drug cartels as a terrorist organization, and they obviously completely ignored, okay, they pretend like it's not really big, they pretend like cartels aren't a serious problem. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason why they don't report on it as much is obviously because it proves Trump's point about border security. Because what's the solution to all these drug cartels coming into this country, putting Americans' lives in danger? And it isn't just drug cartels. We already know that there's hundreds of people who come into this country illegally, rape people, okay, literally go in, commit acts of violence, you know what I'm saying, murder people, get into car accidents, kill people in car accidents. You have fucking rape going on, human sex trafficking, which I don't know why the fuck people aren't morally outraged at that. Like, you're so morally outraged about kids in cages, but you don't give a fuck about kids being sex trafficked at the southern border? Like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay, the reason why they're not outraged about it is because it proves Donald Trump's point for why we need more border security. So we already know that the solution, okay, to stop these fucking cartels, which I personally think that the cartels are just too fucking, you know what I'm saying, too fucking technologically advanced to just have a wall stop them. So I think that even if we do build a wall, it won't, you know what I'm saying, it won't really, you know what I'm saying, stop the fucking drug cartels business in the United States. But it will still, okay, it will reduce the fucking shit, and it will obviously reduce sex trafficking, and it will reduce illegal immigration as a whole, you know what I'm saying? So obviously the solution to all of this is that we need more fucking border security, which we already know the wall's already being built. You know what I'm saying? Which the media completely ignores that shit and pretend like the wall's not being built, but we already know that it's literally being built because, as I said, it's being funded for millions, okay? Millions of dollars already been donated, and if you actually do your research, the wall is actually being fucking built. So the wall needs to continue to be fucking built. Mexico, you know what I'm saying, which, as I've been saying, well, not as I've been saying, but we already know Mexico is actually upping their security to make sure these people aren't coming into the United States illegally. They're actually, you know what I'm saying, agreeing with Donald Trump, but then, you know what I mean, the media doesn't report that at all. And obviously we need to continue the fucking vetting process at the southern border. People seeking asylum, we need to know who these people are. And obviously we need to continue to deport people. You know what I'm saying? We need to continue to deport people that are not supposed to be in this country. And, you know what I'm saying? And, you know what I'm saying? And they're obviously going to create some old bullshit about kids in cages. But the funniest thing is that if you actually look back at Barack Obama, okay, it came out literally last week that 100,000 people, okay, 100,000 people were detained by ICE in 2015 during Obama's presidency. 100,000 people. Knowing, okay, and that's another fact that the quote-unquote kids in cages thing happened during Obama. Where's the moral outrage about that? Where's the moral outrage of all these people being detained at the southern border with Obama as president and kids being in cages, quote unquote, when Obama was president? You know what I'm saying? Where was the outrage about that? It literally does not make any fucking sense. So Donald Trump is doing the right thing. We need to stop fucking crime, and we need to obviously expose the mainstream media's hypocrisy. So anyways, man, tell me something in the comment section. Just say, it's your boy Sauceman X. I'm checking the fucking out of your piece. We need to build the fucking wall. We need to protect this goddamn country. Anyways, man, it's your boy Sauceman X. I'm checking the fucking out of your piece.